feeling the buildup of this new moon and the timing of Mercury retrograde in Scorpio and the things that are coming to light, the shadows that are coming up. It doesn't really blow my mind because there are cyclical patterns when you have certain planets and certain signs or certain areas of a natal chart that you can look back and see throughout history when planets have been in certain areas, these certain things, these themes come up. But it's so poignant because for me personally, I have a Scorpio ascendant. So Pluto rules my natal chart, but Mercury is in my first house, which has to do with your own personal self. The rising sign is how people see you, the mask you wear to the world, Scorpio. And opposite the 7th house, which is relationships, partnerships. For me, Taurus is there, but for us collectively, we all have Mercury retrograde in Scorpio now, opposing Uranus in Taurus. And so I'm seeing like my personal self to the reflection of relationships. And what came up the other day, and this is it. This is like the Plutonian shadows of communication, right? With Mercury there. People hanging on to things, like hanging on to the deep traumas from childhood, living from the unconscious, which is Pluto, it's the underworld, and not even realizing it. More than 3/4 of this planet lives from their subconscious programming, from traumatic events in childhood, infancy, teenage years, that they're not even aware that they're living from that. Familial patterns that were put in place by the parents who, most of the time thought they were doing the best they could. Sometimes they didn't do the best they could. But until you're aware of those shadows, you're living from that. Your egoic orientation is pushing you through life thinking that things are a certain way when they're really not. It's like this crazy thing. And you cannot have peace in your life and deep spirituality until you look at the shadow aspects. It's not possible. We are on a planet of duality. And really, the things that came up the other day just blew my mind on. There were themes about communication and shutting people down because it was uncomfortable for the person who was, whether real or imagined, feeling slighted for some reason. And it just blows my mind because people, if they feel slighted, they tell themselves this big story, and the trigger really is something that happened in childhood, something from your past, but you believe it to be real and it's still playing out, and it will continue to play out in your life until you figure out what the hell's going on and you heal that aspect of yourself. So conflict, when the other person comes at you, they're showing an aspect of yourself that's not healed. That's still like a raw wound. And shutting them down and not speaking to them doesn't do anything for that wound. It just keeps it festering. And so then what's life going to do? It's going to throw another person in your realm to do the same thing, but they're going to look different. They're going to act different. They might sound different, but the same theme's going to come out, and it's going to keep happening. It's like thinking about it, like women who draw in, relationships with men that are not present, right? Because I've been guilty of that myself. Why does this keep happening to me? Because there's an aspect of yourself that you don't value, and you look for it outside of yourself thinking, I need that to complete me. You don't need that to complete you, but until you're aware of it, you're going to keep cycling through. So it's the same thing in any area of life, whether it's drug addiction, sex addiction, workaholic, alcoholism. You're avoiding some kind of pain. You're trying to numb the pain by doing this act, whatever that is. And a lot of that could stem from your childhood. It's patterning, it's programming that's been put in there. But at some point in time, you have to snap yourself out of it and say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. This is not helping. This is like a Band-Aid being put on something that's much deeper. And yeah, it can be scary as hell. But that's the beauty of like Scorpio and Pluto. It's going into the depths and pulling that stuff up to be looked at and healed. And I'm sorry, anybody that is going to claim spirituality and, that it's all love and light, that's bullshit. We're on a planet of duality. You don't just get one. You can't have hot without cold here, right? You can't have like masculine without feminine. You can't have like, red without blue. You can't have up without down. So to tell yourself that, you're just going to be in the highest vibration, no, you're not. If you're not looking at that, your life is being run by your subconscious. And if you don't know anything about psychology, go look it up. We are all living from that space until we're not. And I said it like, in a video I did a few days ago. They're all good stories we tell ourselves. They're good stories until they're not, until they become nightmares, and then we're like, oh crap, we gotta like get rid of this. I have to heal this. It's not the other person, it's really me. And yeah, it just blows my mind how people think, shutting somebody out is gonna, help the situation. Maybe they're freaking happy that you're not talking to them, because like, are you a real gem anyway? If you can't like walk through the conflict and work through it, and then you're just going to cut somebody off, do you think that you're really hurting them? Maybe on some level you are if they're your family, but on another level they might be relieved and go, oh thank God I don't have to deal with the fucking chaos and drama anymore. Like, that's, who wants to deal with that shit? Excuse my French, but you know what, I'm getting irritated by these so-called adults wandering this planet who are like little 5 and 6-year-old boys and girls acting out. Like, figure it out, because the reality is when there's children around, you're damaging them. Okay, it's not just about you, it's about the children, and this is what you're displaying to them. And as like extra adult parents, like people beyond my age, I'm 55, who are still operating from that wounded space, you are teaching your adult children that shit is still okay. Like, God, don't you get tired of the drama that you create? I mean, it's not rocket science, and for anybody that claims to be in the healing realms, whether that's mental health, massage therapy, energetic work, any of that, you're not walking your talk if you're not embodying what you speak about. If you're not embodying the highest vibration, you're a hypocrite. Because if you are spurning people when conflict comes up, instead of understanding that it is the greatest tool for self-awareness, because they're showing you an aspect of yourself that needs to be healed, and you're shoving them away, then you're hypocritical. You're not doing your job. And like, I'm sorry, quite frankly, how dare you touch other people in any realm and work with them if you're in that space and you're not doing the work yourself? You're not walking your talk. It just pisses me off so bad. I don't have time for that anymore. I'm like, it blows my mind. I say that a lot because I'm a Gemini. It just kind of blows my mind, but I give thanks for that scorpionic aspect that I have that has no fear of going into the shadows. I would be willing to walk through fire for the ones that I love, to assist them. But at the end of the day, if they're not willing to walk that path themselves for their own healing, then sometimes you just have to let them go. Or the relationship has to shift into a different aspect. I'm not somebody to cut people off completely, because I think it's ridiculous, unless they've been super abusive to me. But it is abusive to emotionally mess with people and, cut them out, or, not look at your stuff and kind of put it on them, and then just, say, yeah, I'll talk to you whenever. Like, to me, that's weakness. Like, and I get it. If you're a person that doesn't really understand psychology and what all the shadow aspects entail, I could understand. But for the other people that are aware on this planet, that claim spirituality and have a practice, how good is your practice if you're not practicing love? You're not embodying forgiveness. You're not embodying acceptance and understanding and compassion and empathy. No, you're not. So you're really not who you say you are, and whatever, that's on you. You're the one who's going to have to keep cycling through the bullshit until you figure it out. But as this new moon is building in the darkness and the things that have come to light the past few days, yeah, perfect timing. Perfect timing. For me, I have Neptune in the first house, so I could tend to have rose-colored glasses. I could tend to always see the best in people. But I'm grateful that Mercury's there, because it's hitting that aspect, and it's like, yeah, there's the shadows. There they are. Look at them, and set boundaries on what you will, accept and what you will not. And for my peace of mind, I'm not accepting that. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Yeah, so on this new moon in Libra, remember it's about partnerships, relationships, the balance, the masculine, the feminine, really looking at both sides of yourself, not just one side of yourself. And don't kid yourself. If you're in a male body, you still have the feminine. If you're in a female body, you still have the masculine. Whether or not you're in balance, and no cosmetic thing to assist in any area of your life where you're out of balance is really going to help until you do your inner work. And that does not include praying every day, or walking in the woods, or having a meditation, or a guided meditation, or chanting, or crystal bowl meditation. That's all superficial. That's surface skimming, which I am not a surface skimmer. That's why I'm not doing it. My boundaries have gotten better. I can't deal with that. Life is too short. I'm here to expand. And here's the thing. If you're not expanding, you're doing what? You're contracting. And contraction is rigidity. It's closed mind and heart. There's no sacred marriage between like the crown and the heart chakra. And then you certainly can't speak it if you're not balanced. So my prayer for everybody on this Libra new moon is that the balance begins to come in, and you use this time of Scorpio, Mercury retrograde to really look at this stuff and heal, because collectively we raise up when we individually heal ourselves. That is my prayer for you. Have a beautiful, beautiful new moon.